Yo, people. Hey, we're back again for another week. Hey, the line's a bit weird, man. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, no, we're back again for another week, man. Hope you man are doing well. Hope you man are alive. Well, you are alive if you're watching, but hope you man are healthy. You know, them ones there, man. But the usuals, as we always say, like, comment, subscribe, and share, man. And share. Hey, it's been another crazy week of well, it wasn't even about football. You know, that's how crazy it is. We're not even talking about football no more like that. Like the last month or so, it's all about politics right now. And another week, another protest now. This time was the United one for the United versus Liverpool. And they managed to get the game cancelled. But let's even delve into that and see, let's gather our thoughts on, you know, how successful these protests can be and what eventually can it lead to in the greater good. So um, my general thoughts on it is that obviously this is some people's livelihoods, you know, football. You know, this is like their passion and this is their love. So when they see that the essence of the club that they support, the spirit of it is being lost or taken away, as people might say, they have every right to protest, isn't it? So I have nothing against them protesting. My thing, and this is with every protest, is what is the action that you want and what are you trying to truly implement? You get what I'm saying? It's not the sake of just protesting for protesting sake. But obviously, we know the reason they're protesting is to get the Glazers out. But I think the key thing is how successful is it really going to be? But yeah, I'm going to start with Denzel and gather what your thoughts are on the protest and how you think what is gonna lead to long term. So Denzel, what's your thoughts?
Um, I'm not against the protests because obviously everyone knows I'm Glazers out. I've been Glazers out for a while now. I wanted to get out of my club. They're ruining my club. They're sucking the life out of my club, and I'm gonna explain how later on in the video. But I agree with the protests. It's just the people that go to extreme lengths. That's what I don't agree with. Like they're breaking into the stadium. That was silly. Like because a couple of people broke into the stadium. Now we've lost the game. Like I was off on a Sunday for once, and I was looking forward to watching the game. I was excited. I was like, yes, Man United Liverpool. I'm gonna watch the game, and the game gets postponed because of a couple idiots decided to break in the stadium. When we're in a pandemic, obviously people breaking into a stadium, going into changing rooms, all that. You can't hold a game in the middle of a pandemic with people breaching COVID protocols and contaminating and whatever the excuse was. They said it was for health and safety reasons. I'm assuming it was to do with COVID, not because of the actual fans. Because I don't think the fans are gonna hurt the players or try and do anything stupid while the game's going on. Like fans have more sense than that. I would hope so anyway. So I feel like it was more of a COVID reason that the game was postponed. It was to do with like contamination or something. I don't know. But I agree with the overall essence of the protest. If you're protesting peacefully, I agree with it. Obviously, we got the message out because of what's going on in the club. Because the people are going to see people protesting outside of Trafford and be like, why are they protesting? Now everyone knows about the Glazers. So yeah, it's a good thing, but at the same time, when people just take it that extra bit too far, like it gets on my nerves.
Wait, so you don't agree with the what's it called, going into the stadium thing and cancelling the game?
Nah. I don't agree with breaking into the stadium. Nah, that was hooliganism, in my opinion. That's not. There's no difference between protesting and just being a hooligan.
Mm. But I heard some people saying that by cancelling the game, you're hurting the Glazers' pockets in the sense that you're really attacking the core of why they bought United. Because of games like these, the Liverpool versus Man United, is gonna attract so many fans in. If you manage to stop that game, it isn't the how would you say it, the essence of what you're fighting for made even bigger and stronger. If you get what I'm saying, Denzel. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, I understand that point. Like you could say we got what we wanted because the game got cancelled. But for me personally, I still love football. I want to watch my team play, regardless of whether we have crap owners or not. I still want to watch my team play football. So for me, it was disappointing because I wanted to see us play Liverpool. But for others, they're like, oh yeah, we took money out of the Glazers' pockets. We got our message across. But the way I look at it is, we had a crucial game against Liverpool. well, not as crucial as it normally is, but still nevertheless crucial. And it got cancelled because of a couple of people decided to be silly and run onto the pitch. Well, yeah, I see both sides to it, I guess. But for me personally, I feel like storming onto the pitch was a little bit too much.
All right, what's your thoughts on it? And I think you weren't here last week as well. You can talk about the Arsenal one as well if you want to link it in as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have no problem with the protests. I actually think it's kind of good to see the fans finally, standing up and challenging the owners and how they've been running the clubs. Regarding the United fans breaking in to the stadium, I don't know. I think I'm kind of just in between on this one as well because I feel like them breaking in kind of made a statement, and that was kind of what they needed to do because, you know, as much as you can protest and stuff, at the end of the day, it doesn't really, like you said, it doesn't really affect these owners directly. But to go into the stadium, go on the pitch, not only are you, stopping the game from happening, which would affect them, but you're also creating a huge public spectacle because it was all over the news, even on major news channels, not just sports platforms and stuff like that. So, and that's just embarrassing if you think about it. Like, as the owner of a club, you go and you see on TV or you go on the news and you see that they're protesting for, it's just a huge public spectacle, and it's just, so they did make a very huge statement. Although, I saw there was a bit of, violence and stuff like that. I think that's when you can probably say that, okay, that's where you draw the line and say, they shouldn't be going that far. Regardless, yeah, I think breaking in was probably the only way they would actually have gotten to some certain extent. But I just feel like, yeah, if there was any sort or any form of violence, then, that wouldn't have been that isn't the right way to approach it. For Arsenal's own, yeah, I think ours protest was just normal. I don't think anything too huge happened. Yeah, but I just feel in general the protests are good in terms of, what these clubs want in terms of getting the owners out. I feel like, they should have been happening. I don't know why the Super League was probably what triggered, more people to protest. I feel like they should have been happening before. And I guess they were, but I feel like they're happening on a much bigger scale now. Either way, it's happening, both clubs are probably going to try and get back to where they belong and try and get new owners in and, try and return to the same way Arsenal and United are, because both respected clubs who have both been, treated poorly by their respective owners. So I guess, yeah, it's interesting to see how things will pan out.
Hear that, man. What about you, Dan? What's your thoughts on the whole United protest and how effective do you think it is?
I mean, I'm fully behind the United protest, if I'm honest. Like, fully behind it. I think the Glazers have been a problem for a long time, and I think they've not, because like people are saying that United shouldn't have broke into the stadium, and I totally understand why people say they shouldn't have broke into the stadium. But I mean, is there any other way that their voice was going to be heard? Like, Man United fans have been protesting for years about the Glazers. Like, I even remember like 10 years ago they were bringing out yellow and green scarves at their games and protesting against the Glazers, and nothing's really happened. Like, it's unless the Glazers feel it financially, they don't care. Like, unless there's something that they can actually see, like a backlash, they're not gonna care that people don't like them because it's making them money. And like I saw over the weekend that they've taken £2 billion out of Man United. Like, someone who's earning £2 billion from what in their eyes they see it as a business, they're not gonna care what people think. £2 billion is what they've taken out. So like, obviously I don't condone where they attack the steward, but I understand. That's what I'll say. I understand what they're saying, and I feel like the the fact that the game got postponed will definitely send a message to the Glazers, and it will tell them that like the fans are definitely serious. Like this time they're not just gonna let it slide by. They're gonna try everything they can to get the Glazers out. And I think that's the same with Arsenal fans. Like obviously we'll see what happens on Thursday, because I think some Arsenal fans will probably try and take inspiration with what happened at Old Trafford, but I don't know how that will go. But yeah, as I said, I'm fully behind the Glazer out protest. But I mean, I think one thing that people need to do is not tarnish the whole protest like by the actions of the minority, like because obviously it wasn't the vast majority was there to protest the Glazers and do it in the right way, and there was only a few that made that step too far and was smashing up the cameras in Old Trafford and attacked the steward. So I think they're the ones that's going to be the spotlight put on them. When I don't think it should be like that. I think it should be like based on the actual cause that they're trying to achieve, and like the majority that went there for a reason.
100, man. Oh yeah, I forgot to shout my brother out. Appreciate Carl for coming onto the show, man. Big you up, man. Uh, Obviously, I got two questions for Carl because Carl's also a financial expert as well. But I just want to gather your thoughts firstly on your thoughts on the protest before we get into the financial side of it. So, what's your thoughts on it?
On the protest, I agree with the protest, and it's something that's been happening for a while. It's nothing new with the Glazers out protest. Like Denzel was in secondary, doing that. Ed Woodward out, Glazers out, all this in secondary school. Like this is stuff's been going on for a while. But so I'm glad like people, it's raising awareness for the actual, which we'll go into the actual problems that have been happening for a while. That are finally people again becoming aware. There's a lot of stuff when the club has been privatized now by Glazers. This the things going on behind the scenes. Not everyone's aware of the things they're pulling off and how they're managing to keep the money to themselves and within their circle. So yeah, I'm fully behind it. Obviously, breaking into stadium and all that kind of stuff, like it's a bit much, but you got to know your boundaries. But same way, I respect them. Like there's a huge turnout. I saw some crazy stuff on Twitter. It's like a huge turnout. So yeah, like I'm behind it to an extent. Yeah.
100. So yeah, I want to get into that financial aspect of it as well. Even how the Glazers bought the club. Because remember, I sent you the video yesterday, Carl, about was it HB's? What was it again? How they?
Yeah. Do you want me to go into it?
Yeah, you can go into it. Yeah, you can explain.
Yeah. So when the Glazers bought the club, Ed Woodward was working at JP Morgan at this time. They funded. It's called debt financing. So essentially, the Glazers bought the club with £500 million of loan. This was not their money. So basically, now the club before was a public traded company. Man United was public traded. Fans could buy shares of the company. So once they've used loan money from JP Morgan, the banks, to buy out the club's now turned privatized. And that £500 million of debt that they bought the club with is transferred over to Man United. So now, all of the years that Man United are making money, this money has been getting paying off the debts that they had originally buying the club. Ronaldo got sold for how many, like 80 million, whatever. That money just going straight to debt. They try to replace Ronaldo for like Valencia and these guys. Like it's nonsense. This stuff's carrying on for years. Now, the Glazers are paying out dividends every single year of 50 million plus. And guess who this is going to? Their siblings, their friends, their shareholders. And these people are all based in America. JP Morgan, the ones that funded the Super League. Why do you think there's a coincidence there? Because these are the guys that are in the same circle with the Americans, that with the Glazers, like it's an all circle. And now Glazers, their best interest is with them financial circles like JP Morgan and in America. So until they're gone, Man United and their core focus will always be financial interest.
You can even tell by like their signings, a lot of them, it's just all focused on the PR sort of way of engineering that interest in the club, which obviously you see in shirt sales and social media and stuff like that. So it's a mazzoline, man. But yeah, Denzel, I think you said you wanted to say something else about it as well, innit?
That was what I was gonna touch on. That Carl explained it very, very well there on how they bought the club because of, like Carl said, there was a people from the public could buy shares in the club, and gradually over time they increased their stakes in the club, but they use that money with debt, and they're still using the club to pay off their own debts. Like when you look at other owners, like say the City owner or Abramovich, they're investing a lot of money into the clubs. The reason why we're so angry is because we don't have owners that are investing money into the club. We have owners that are taking money out of the club and using it to pay off their own debts. We have owners that bought the club with debt. So it's very frustrating how we're supposed to be the biggest entity in English football, and we don't have owners who invest in our club. We have people, they're leeches essentially. And the protests, and you see people storming on the pitch and all that. I know I've said I'm against it, but I understand the sense of anger because it's been happening for a long time where they've just been leeching from our club and we've been speaking about it. And another thing that gets me annoyed is corporations like Sky Sports and all those corporations saying that, oh, Man United fans are protesting the ESL and the Glazers. This isn't about the ESL no more. The ESL's happened, it's done, and it's dusted. We've been protesting the Glazers for ages, and I don't like how these big corporations are trying to highlight the reason why we're protesting the Glazers is because the ESL. Maybe you can say that it's a catalyst in the protest, but it's not the reason why we're protesting. The Glazers have been trash for time, and we've been protesting for time. We've had crap windows for time, and for a while they got away with it with Ferguson being the genius that he is. He managed to have a team of Gibson and Tom Cleverley in midfield and win us Premier League titles. But now that Ferguson's gone, everything's been exposed essentially. But we've known for a while now that the Glazers have been leeches. I don't like this whole ESL talk. That's the reason why we're protesting. It's much deeper than that.
100.
Just to add on that, Carragher made a good point as well the other day. The only thing I've agreed with him that he literally said, it's lazy punditry to be talking about, oh, this is all just based off Super League. There's stuff deeper than it's way deeper in Super League. Even stuff to do with the fact that when they turned it to a private company, they're based off in the Cayman Islands. Why do you think they're in the Cayman Islands? Tax evasion. It's perfectly legal, but same way, is it ethical? No. There's a lot of it. It's just ethics, it's business ethics. Like, you have to respect that Man United is from the fans. Like, let's be honest, Chelsea and City is a whole different story because we can accept that people like Abramovich and with City, the owners there, it's a completely different situation. But a club like Man United, you have to respect that core, the fans, like to a different level. Same with Liverpool as well. And Arsenal, it's like it's a different situation. But yeah.
But one thing I want to now look at is what are going to be the long-term ramifications as football in general and English football in terms of the dynamics between ownerships and fans. People have talked about the 50+1 rule, but I remember Dan was saying how that's never going to happen. Ralph Honigstein, I think he's one of the athletic writers. He was saying a potential sort of compromise would be that you have one sort of board member that represents the fans in like the board meetings. That's the closest you can get because you're never going to get a 50+1 rule. I don't think you can do what they do in Spain where you're president, so you represent the fans. I don't think you'll ever get to that in England, but I think the closest thing you could get is a board member who kind of represents the fans in the board meetings. I don't know if you guys think that's realistic. What do you guys think on that? Anybody's thoughts?
No, I think that's the right move to go. Like I don't know about everyone else, but like I know for Arsenal, the Cronkies have spoken about getting that in as a result, like as a direct consequence of the Super League. Like they said that the fan representation is needed because they essentially admitted that they're not really in touch with what the fans want, but they want the best for the club, which I acknowledge them for admitting, but like having fan representation, I think would definitely make it better because it gives you more of an overview. And like these owners that a lot of them are American, like they don't really understand the culture of English football and just European football in general. Like they're used to like American sports and the fact that there's it's totally different over there. Like there's no consequence really for doing badly. If anything, you get rewarded in the draft for doing badly. And in England, that's totally different. Totally different. So I think fan representation would help. Like I think a lot of people are speaking about the 50+1 rule. That there's no way that can happen. Like no way that can happen. Because to get that to happen, you need all owners, like from top to bottom, from Man City all the way down to National League, to essentially vacate. And they're not going to do that for free, because what they have is massive assets. In Man United, you have a £4 billion asset. In Arsenal, you have a £2 billion asset. There's no way they're giving that up for free. So someone needs to buy every single one of them owners out, and that's not going to be cheap. Like that's going to be billions and billions and billions of pounds. And who's going to be paying billions and billions of pounds? That is just not realistic. So people suggesting the 50+1 rule, I don't think that's going to work. Like fan representation is definitely the only way to get fans' voices heard.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we move on just and the fans and stuff?
Oh, I was gonna ask Ore and Dan, what do you think of the Daniel Ek and like Thierry Henry talk, like in terms of, because it's a similar situation where with like Kroenke out and all that, like, and then Daniel Ek, the Spotify owner, what do you think of his potential takeover?
Yeah, he is a fan of the club, so that's something obviously that you would want to try and have in an owner, someone who actually understands the club and stuff like that. Although I don't think that is a direct reflection of whether or not you would be a good owner, because I feel like a lot of people just equate it to one another, that as long as you're a fan, you'll be a good owner. But it also does take a lot to also run a club as well. So obviously, I haven't, seen him, run a club, but obviously he obviously has a lot of experience in the business area to obviously be where he is. So yeah, and anything obviously, in my opinion, would most likely be a huge boost on Kroenke. I'm saying most likely because like Dan has already said on the call before, they don't take money from us essentially, so they just don't really invest in us. That's the major problem. So obviously if we get a new owner that does take from us, obviously that would be worse, but that's highly unlikely for a fan, because he obviously want the club to do well and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where it goes. But yeah, obviously he has my support in terms of coming to the club and trying to buy. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement really. I think the fact that he's a fan says a lot, because obviously fans want to see their club do like the best. And the fact that he's got Invincibles on board, I think some of that is due down to PR, because I think people will get behind the Invincibles no matter what. But also I think it's good because them guys will not settle for mediocrity. They won't settle for fourth and fifth, and that's good because we got Champions League football. Like I think ultimately, like people were scared that his net worth was like half of what Kroenke's was, but I think it's more of a consortium rather than Daniel Ek on his own. So I don't really have worries about funding and that um, sort of aspect, and especially considering that like Kroenke's not put a penny into Arsenal. Like he joined Arsenal in 2008, I believe, and until 2018 he didn't put a single penny into the club, which in my opinion is madness. So like even if he's not as rich as Kroenke, if he puts even 10 million, 15 million in, even though that's not enough, that's still more than Kroenke's ever put in. So I'm definitely behind the new potential takeover, because even if it doesn't succeed, I think it will spark action from the current owners.
Can I just say one thing? Did Kroenke fund the Partey move?
He may have, but that's only in the last year. From 2008 to 2018, he done nothing.
Okay, yeah. I was just checking.
Yeah.
I think Denzel, you said you wanted to say something, or
I think I forgot my point.
right?
I can't remember what I was gonna say, because it was on what we were talking about before, but we moved on to X, so I can't remember.
It was we were talking about the fans, isn't it?
It was a 50+1 rule.
Yeah.
kind of have a controversial take about the 50+1 rule. I can't lie. I just don't think it's feasible. I don't think it just, for me, the way football is going, it doesn't make sense in the English Premier League to have a 50+1 rule. We've seen it in Germany, and some people may think it's a good model. I personally don't think that it's good for competition, if that makes sense, because we've seen with the 50+1 rule, no one can compete with Bayern Munich. So all of the teams with historical backgrounds are essentially going to be the teams running the league. It doesn't allow Leicester fairy tales and all that sort of stuff. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. I haven't done enough research on it. But the way I see it in the Bundesliga is no one can compete with Bayern. So in order to run their club, they have to sell to Bayern and they have to cater to Bayern's needs. And I don't want anything like that happening in the Premier League. So I feel like people have it twisted with this whole 50+1 rule thing. I don't think people have properly deeped the consequences that it might have.
With the Bayern thing, Bayern, like in terms of like their sponsorships and the commercial activity, is far greater than any Bundesliga club. It's probably just the way they marketed themselves compared to the other teams. Because I know I think they got quite a lot of fans in like Asia and stuff like that, and I don't really think Bundesliga clubs really look to the commercial side of it as tough as Bayern. I think Bayern have a lot of footballing people, but they have a good business model and idea to how they want to project their club. I don't really think as many Bundesliga clubs try that, because with Dortmund, even though Haaland isn't going to stay there forever, they could market themselves a lot better, if we're being honest. With someone like a Haaland and a Sancho, they could market themselves better, get even more sponsorships. But I don't know. It's easy to say that I don't have all the proof to show that they're not doing that, but that's how I kind of look at it.
But it happens in other leagues anyway, though. Like if you look at Italy, Juventus, this is the first year they've not won Serie A in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And like if we go to Spain, Atletico won the league in 2013, and then in the last 20 years, I think that's the only time that someone else has won it. I think Deportivo won it in like 2003, but I don't know if it's specifically down to 50+1 rule why teams can't compete. I think Bayern is just bigger than everyone else and just better run than everyone else, in the same way Juventus were for a long time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Moving on to another, you could say another form of activism that's going on in football right now with the social media blackout. Obviously, Premier League clubs, I think even UEFA, the Champions League, UEFA on Instagram and Twitter did it as well. So quite a lot of organizations said that they weren't going to post anything on social media for 4 days, I believe, from Friday to today, I believe, in spite of all the what's it called, the abuse, in particular black footballers are getting. My thing, I just don't trust institutions, man. I don't trust their purpose, not their purpose, their intentions. I don't really trust it. So for me, it's one of them ones where I look at it and say, fair enough for you, it looked good for you, but I don't really know how effective this is. And we've seen, I even look at, like, let's say the Super League, for example, when the clubs were like, nah, we're generally going to leave, or it looked like they were going to leave. And we saw how the change came where UEFA like, yo, we got a couple billions here hiding for you, man, if you want to come. It's one of them ones, shout out Fred from the 90s Baby Show. He says, no one's on piss, bruv. And it's true, bare man are pussy-holes, bruv. If you man are on piss, 100%, none of this 50%, we'll be back on Tuesday. No, if you're really on it, you gotta be 100% about it, and that's the reality. So if it's one of them ones where you're saying you want to eradicate it, I mean, you can't really, because some people they just want to be racist. That's the reality. That's another thing with the whole education. I'm sorry, bruv. We're all taught in primary school, treat others like how you want to be treated. So if man wants to be racist, they want to be racist. It's not about an educational thing, but with I know the social media, it's just about the ID stuff, but if you're really about it, you're just gonna come off it like Thierry Henry did and said, until you actually pattern, I'm not on it. So I want to gather you guys' thoughts on it. Ori, what's your thoughts on the social media blackout thing, and how effective do you think it is?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty useless, to be fair. In terms of trying to get anything done, I don't see how much or how far it goes to doing something. Like you said, the whole, coming back at a particular time, then that just defeats the whole purpose of actually a boycott. Because what's the point then? Because you've just gone for a couple of days and now you're back. I don't think that makes such a huge difference. Yeah. In terms of how the solution for this, like, I feel like the ID thing will obviously be really hard to implement, but I really can't see anything, too far beyond that in terms of like, because the whole issue is that a lot of people can say these things behind profiles that, people can't really see who they are. So I guess the whole point of an ID, you'll be able to see, find out, trace, the person behind the account easier. So yeah, I guess that's what they'll be working on in terms of trying to get social media companies to do. But yeah, even after that, I still wouldn't put it past, stuff happening, people abusing and stuff like that. It's just one of those very tricky things that I just feel really can't be stopped. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I just feel like just in general, even if it does stop on social media, even, players in Italy, they get their fans, abuse black players significantly. So even if it stops online, it would continue in person, it would continue elsewhere, it would continue from the field. UEFA, FA, they don't take proper actions. So it's just, they've just basically created a community where like they're trying to make us think that they're trying to really eradicate it, but it's really not at the top of their priority. And they honestly can't be too bothered as long as it doesn't affect them, financially, which it does not. So yeah, I don't really know where we go from here in terms of that, but yeah, I guess we just have to see.
And you know what? You made me just think of something now. Obviously, I know Facebook are a good example that people like to use of. I think you have to use your real name when if you want to sign up for Facebook. But the reality is, what are you trying to? Obviously, you want to ID the person to deal with them, but it's not going to really stop the abuse, which is, I guess, is the key thing, isn't it? I don't know, man. It's like a catch-22 sort of thing. It's like there's so many layers to it. I don't know how simple it is, but yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts on the whole social media blackout and how effective it is?
I'll be honest, when it comes to UEFA and the FA and their actions when it comes to racism, I think we all know they don't care. Like unless it affects them financially, they don't give a shit. Like they never have given a shit, and they probably never will. Like this, like the social media blackout, like let's call it what it is. It was just virtue signaling. At the end of the day, that's what it was. It was just virtue signaling, like them trying to pretend that they care about it and yeah, we're fighting the good fight. When in reality, like when it comes to actual showing that you care about racism in football, like look what happens at Glenn Kamara not even that long ago, and look at the reaction. Like it took them 2 weeks to even release a statement. Like they don't care. UEFA and FIFA and FA don't care about it because it doesn't affect their money and it doesn't really, yeah, because it doesn't affect them financially. It's not anywhere near the top of the priorities list. Like it's right at the bottom. They don't care about it at all. So I don't really buy into their little half-ass schemes where they try and pretend that they're in the fight because let's be honest, everyone knows they don't care. Like I think they find Nicholas Bentner more money than they did the Slavia Prague player because Nicholas Bentner was wearing Paddy Power boxes back in the day. Like it's madness in my opinion. And UEFA is at the heart of it because they've allowed it going for so long. Like I'm not even trying to generalize, but pretty much every time a British team goes away to one of the teams in Eastern Europe, one of the players will be racially abused, and it's sad, but you know that it's gonna happen. And I mean, as Ori said, in Italy, like so many of the players get racially abused and nothing gets done about it. Like, I mean, it's until it affects the pockets of UEFA and the FA. It may be pessimistic, but I don't think they're ever going to do anything. Because if we're being honest, they do have the power to stop it. Like, they do have the power to say to clubs, if you're caught, if your fans are caught being racist, there will be sanctions. And if we find that there's racial abuse in the stadium, there will be sanctions towards both the fan base and to your team. It would stop very quickly. If teams see if fans see their team losing 10, 20 points in the league because of racial abuse, then I don't think we see much more of it. Like, because them points, them sanctions, that's what people see. That's what like affects them, because obviously they're passionate about their team and they want their team to do well. So to see them, maybe it might stop it, but I don't know. Like as you said, Josh, like I don't think we can reason with people who are racist, because obviously I can't really understand where they're coming from, so I don't even know if it would affect them. But and as for the online abuse, it's mad how a copyrighted video will be taken down within half an hour rapidly, but racial abuse will be allowed to stay and nothing will be done about it. Like racial abuse is there from 10 years ago, from high profile accounts. Like I remember the West Ham owner had a tweet back in the day where he said the N-word and nothing was done about it. He a verified account. So, but I mean, if an account that has 3 followers tweeted a copyright video, it'll be done instantly. So they definitely have the power to stop this abuse, but because it's not hurting their pockets, they don't care enough, and I don't think we can expect them to act.
Mm. What's your thoughts on the situation at hand?
Is it me, Josh?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, as the guy said, it's a half-hearted approach. Like it's a very half-hearted approach. It's not gonna go to the core of the problem. It's very easy for them to say they're gonna have a weekend off social media, but at the end of the day, the club's not the ones being directly racist on their accounts anyway. So is it gonna stop people being racist, or is it gonna stop people giving abuse? No. Like as you said, there's some people out there that are so bad that they'll just do the stuff no matter what. So it's not going to get to the core of the problem this way. Like when we talk about how they could solve the issue, as Dan said, there has to be harsher punishments. But same way, everything that we're saying is easier said than done. If you know what I mean. Like it's a very difficult one, because we could easily say, if remember back in the stadiums, or when someone's racist and stuff, it's easy for us to say, like 20-point fine or whatever. But Premier League these days, FA, UEFA, they're just half-hearted about everything. Like even you can't compare the situations, but even like different sanctions that they always threaten to give out, they never do anything. They never do anything. Like people get let slide, like the Kamara situation, everything's getting let slide. Do you know the keeper from Ajax? Do you know the guy that he's got like a 12-month ban? This guy's on a 12-month ban. I swear the celebrity Prague guy got like some light fan, and the Ajax keeper has been banned for 12 months for doping, which was like his girlfriend's medicine or something. It's just a joke. Like they have their own agendas, and if it doesn't suit that agenda, then it's silly.
Denzel?
It's performative activism. That's what it is. It's not, they don't, like everyone here, we can see through the BS. Everybody knows they don't actually care. They're just doing it because they feel like they have to do it. Because of obviously with the whole Super League thing, a lot of people called them out, and rightfully so, on the fact that the same energy wasn't given to racism compared to this whole Super League thing. Obviously, we know the reason why the same energy wasn't given is because of racism doesn't affect them financially, so they don't give a toss about racism. It just gets on my nerves though. Like, I'd rather you come out with chest and say, we don't give a crap about racism, than you do all this performative activism BS trying to be like, we're going to boycott social media for 3 days and it's going to magically solve racism. Yeah, great job, Sky Sports. Racism it no longer exists because if you decide not to post anything on Twitter for 3 days. It's ridiculous. I'd rather them just be, obviously they're not gonna do that, but just it's so fake. It gets on my nerves. Like, you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it to save face, essentially, and you're not doing anything to try and help the cause. Like, financially, they can do things to help the cause. They have the influence to do things to help the cause. Like, these are big corporations. It's not like they're sitting on their ass and they can't do anything about the racism situation. There are things that they can do to help these situations. Like UEFA, you're doing a 3-day boycott, but you're the issue. You're the issue. Like, you're boycotting something. You're trying to make a statement about something when you're the issue, and it gets on my nerves. I don't want to rant and just ramble on for too long, because I feel like everyone's highlighted the issues with this whole social media boycott. But yeah, it gets on.
Yeah, I hear that. I think for me nowadays, man, I don't really care what they do. I don't really. For me, going forward, just as a person in general, I don't look to institutions, these UEFAs to. I don't look to no white man to come save me, bro, because them man don't care, bro. So for me, I look at what can I do to help my people, sort of thing. Man, so I don't really care about what UEFA are trying to do, because, fam, they don't have my best interests at heart. So why should I care, bro? It's one of them ones. So if they want to do that, that's fair on them. Man's not really gonna judge them on they're bad people and stuff like that. That's up to you, innit? But man will do my own thing. That's what I'm on right now. But yeah, man, let's get on the lighter tone, bro. We went deep in it. We went a bit deep, but let's bring it back. You know, the ones. Let's put a smile back on our face. So obviously there wasn't really that much football to talk about. So we're thinking, you know what? Let's think about our players of the years, our young player of the year. Let's do a ranking. So we're gonna do our players of the year first. We're gonna do our top 5. So who you think should win it? So for me, number 1, I'm still gonna go with Ruben Diaz. You know, his impact for City has been immense.
Is this Premier League? Or
yeah, just Premier League. Yeah. His impact on the defense has been immense. Obviously, City have a great defense, so it's not just him that's carrying it, but you can see the impact that he's had on the team. And he's just a proper defender, you know, them ones, like a proper. He's got the old-fashioned ruggedness about him, you know, them ones. Number 2 would be Harry Kane. You know, he's been incredible this season. You gotta give it to him. And Spurs haven't been that great this season. So, I mean, he's a world-class player. We know that. So it's not really surprised what he's been doing, but you could say that he's kind of evolved this game. You're seeing him drop deeper a bit more nowadays. His long passing is insane. He's just a quality footballer, you know the one. So he'll be my number 2. Number 3 and 4 was a bit. See, I wanted to go Grealish number 3, then Bruno number 4, but I might swap them around, innit? But you know what? Yeah, I'll be fair to Bruno. I'll put him number 3, Grealish number 4, and then fifth was a hard one, man. There's a lot of here and there, so I just put Gundogan as the 5th option, really. So Denzel, who would you say your top 5 is?
First, obviously, I'm gonna go with Harry Kane. I feel like you have to go with Kane. He's playing in a trash Tottenham side. He's carrying them on their backs. I feel like his numbers are insane. The assists and the goals, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. He leads the league in goals and assists separately. So you have to give it to him. Like, and plus his overall play has evolved. I feel like, I can't lie, we've had a lot of criticism from Mourinho, but Mourinho has helped his game a lot. So I'll give Mourinho the respect in that sense. He has helped Harry Kane become a better player. So I'd say Harry Kane would be number 1. Then number 2, I'm biased. I don't care. I'll be saying Bruno Fernandes number 2 because I feel like his season's been very solid. He's dropped off lately since we've gone to 2021. He hasn't really been the same player, but he was doing fantastic, and he's still a good player. So I'll put him number 2. Ruben Diaz, number 3. He fixed that Man City defense. Man City, we knew that their big issue was their defensive problems last season, and they've solved that and they've blitzed the league this season. So you have to give it up to Ruben Diaz. Number 4, the safe option would be Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish has been injured for a bit now, but that first half of the season he was immense. So I'll give that to Grealish. 5. I can't believe I'm saying this, but despite his team doing absolutely whack, I'm gonna give it to Mo Salah. You know, I'm gonna give it to Mo Salah because of it's still he's had a good season despite Liverpool's trash season. Mo Salah's actually done well this season, so I'll give it to Mo Salah. I feel like Gundogan was a purple patch, if I'm being honest. I know that's a heavy take, but I feel like it was a purple patch. I'll give it to Salah's been very consistent throughout the season, so I'll give it to
Ori, what about you?
Yeah, kind of similar to Denzel's. Kane first. I think obviously that kind of explains itself. He's been the best player for me this season in the Premier League. Second, I'd go with Bruno as well. I just feel like he's just been really influential to that United side, because I can't imagine what would have been of United if, you know, someone like Bruno wasn't there this season. So if you take Bruno out of United, essentially, you know, well, I don't like to be hypothetical, but yeah, he's just been really, you know, influential all around. Like Denzel said, yeah, recently he hasn't really been hitting enough, but you know, overall throughout the season, chance creation, everything, you know, he's just been the main man for them. So I'd have to give it to him. Third, I'd go for Jack Grealish. I just feel like how he has really settled into that role of left-sided creator for them has just been really, really good. Even take away his good numbers that he's also put up, just his overall play, what he's done with the ball, how he moves, how he literally controls Villa and, you know, sets the tempo for them, and literally just once the ball just goes to that left-hand side, you just suddenly feel nervous because you just see Grealish running, you know, at you. And the way he runs with the ball is just very smooth. And overall, he's just had a very incredible season. I think he's been a joy to watch for a lot of us this season. So I'd have to put him as third. For fourth, okay, fourth and fifth is going to get a bit tricky because I'm trying to fit 3 players in, but yeah, that's not going to be possible. I think for fourth, I'm going to go with Diaz. Just because of how, you know, City's defensive record and how they've improved defensively as well. He has obviously played a huge part in that. And obviously City are on their way to win another title. So credit where credit's due. I'm going to have to put him at fourth. Then at fifth, I'm feeling like picking Salah, but I'm just going to have to sneak in Martinez in Aston Villa. I just feel like he has been the best keeper this season. Probably close because I've also been a huge fan of Mendy in Chelsea. I think he's also had a really incredible season. Probably in my top 10 even this season. But yeah, I'm just going to have to put Martinez there. He's just been really, you know, overall, the saves he makes for them, the clean sheet he keeps for them, just in general, how he's just really helped Villa in that aspect. What a signing for them, to be honest. It's completely changed their defensive record and their defensive shape as well, because keepers do play a huge role in that as well. So yeah, I'm just going to have to give it to him. Obviously, I'm trying to squeeze Salah in there because I think everyone knows I'm a huge fan of Salah, but yeah, I just don't think he would probably be sixth if there was an option for that. But yeah, my top 5 would cut it at Martinez.
Fair enough. Then what about you? What's yours?
Number 1, I've gone Kane. I feel like with Kane, I think it's undeniable that he's been the best player this year. Like, I think the goals and the assists, and especially the fact that he was playing in such a defensive-minded team and that the team isn't the strongest, says a lot about him, and he's been fantastic this year. Number 2, I've gone Diaz. I think there's a bit of attacking bias in these type of lists and in like the Ballon d'Or and stuff, where defenders don't really get the equal treatment, if you know what I mean. I think it's very attacking based, and the fact that Diaz has come in and essentially changed City's whole defense and made them very, very solid defensively. I think he needs to be number 2. Number 3, I've gone Gundogan, just because I feel like he's contributed so much to Man City this year. He scored so many goals, and I think he's been a big reason why they are where they are. Number 3, I've gone Jack Grealish. Number 4, sorry, I've gone Jack Grealish, because I feel like Jack Grealish, like, I think to understand how good Jack Grealish is, you need to look past the numbers and just watch him play, because like he's in my opinion, he's a top player, top player. And the fact that he's been injured for a while, I think people have forgot how good he was this season and how good he's been in that Villa team. Like, I think Villa have suffered massively with him being out, and they've found it a lot harder to, number one, create chances, but also they haven't looked as good, which I mean is understandable without Grealish. And then last, number 5, I've got Bruno. I think Bruno is another one where he means so much to Man United. Like, without Bruno, I think Man United would be in a totally different place where they are now. And I think, just like Kane, I think his numbers speak for themselves, really.
Carl, what about you? Who's your top 5?
I'd say, depending on where he fits in, Player of the Year or Young Player of the Year, because he is 23. Number 1 would be Diaz for me personally. Like, I think about Diaz. Maybe I'm a bit biased because he's crazy, he's just insane. Like, sometimes he's unplayable. Not gonna lie, in the Prem, like he can make teams. He made Stones. First of all, he makes Stones look good. Like, considering people wrote, everyone here and everyone I know. Actually, no, I'm not gonna say everyone here, but like everyone wrote off Stones, and now he's made that centre back partnership look very solid. So yeah, Diaz number 1. Number 2, Harry Kane. Like, Kane, I don't even like goals and assists, base players of goals and assists, but when it's them kind of numbers, like, you actually can't ignore that, because that's like record breaking. Someone said he's the first player like to get top goals and assists already in the same season or something like that. 3rd, Bruno Fernandes. Like, you've seen what he done to Man United. Like, he made Man United. People were mocking Ollie Ball, all this kind of stuff. But now this season, as much as people can call him a penalty merchant and all this kind of stuff, like, I hear it, but he's had a huge impact. Number 4, Gundogan. Like, his impact's been great on Man City, but I do get the point where it has been spells. Like, obviously in the last couple of months, we saw that huge goal spell, but then you cannot question that maybe before that it wasn't to that level. But same way, Man City weren't playing at that high standard at the start of the season. Then lastly, Grealish, as Dan said, like, with Grealish, it's an eye test thing. You have to take out the goals and assists. It's actually an eye test. Like, and as soon as we're trying to draw out Grealish, trying to say that it's cheating, drawing fouls. Come on now, let's not be silly. Drawing fouls is a part of the game. Like, remember, Eden Hazard. You can't compare Eden Hazard to Grealish, but Eden Hazard, like, dodging all these defenders, drawing fouls in like tight situations. And as soon as he's trying to say he's a cheat for drawing fouls, like, come on now, let's not be silly. Just is an eye test. But yeah, that's my top 5.
I hear that, man. I hear that. Let's go to the young players of the year. My top 5. Number 1, I put Bukayo Saka.
What categorizes as young player?
I mean, they do it as under 23, but
do under 23.
I do
That's what
under
they
21. I do it up to you're 21 at the start of the season. I actually do understand the 23, because when you're 23, you're not like in your prime yet, but I think 21 is a better representation. So I did from when you were 21 from the start of the season. So number 1, I put Bukayo Saka. Every time he's played, he's always been the main catalyst for Arsenal. And he made one crazy assist against, I think it was against Benfica, or something like that, where it was like an Ozil-like pass, innit? He's a quality footballer, man. So I think he deserves to be number 1, if I'm basing it just purely on performance. Number 2 will be Foden. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a breakout. You can say it's a breakout season for him. But yeah, nah. Same with him. You can just see the quality. Obviously, because he's playing for City, where he isn't the main guy, you don't really attach all that success down to him, but you can still see his quality anyway. Number three, I put Declan Rice because of what he's done for West Ham. I think he's been so monumental to what they've done, and he's just evolving as a footballer as well. He's getting a lot better. Like you can see his ability on the ball is improving. His tackling's brilliant. You know, his interception. He's just a brilliant player. Number 4, I put Mason Mount. I think he's also evolved. He's showing his quality now as well. And then 5, I put Meslier from Leeds, the goalkeeper. You rarely see a goalkeeper that young play, but he looks calm and assured. Of course, he's made errors, but that's with development. You know, you're going to make mistakes, but he looks so assured with his feet, and he's made some very good saves. Yeah, that's my top 5. Carl, what's yours?
So number 1, obviously if DS is going to qualify for this, obviously I reckon he would win if he does qualify for this section. But same way as you say, like it's whether it's 23 or under. But say if we cancel out him, I'd say number 1, I'll go for Phil Foden. I'm not his biggest fan, but I do believe like what he's done on the Pep, his influence. You saw that Liverpool game, it's insane. Like so, Foden number 1, no bias, but it's number 2, Mason Mount. Like, I was a critic of Mason Mount, like one of the guys that I wouldn't say I disliked him, but under Lampard, I thought he was overplayed, overworked, and he wasn't that great. But now he's changed my mind completely. Like Mason Mount, very good player. Number 3, Declan Rice. Like, to be fair, West Ham have played decent since he's been out, but Declan Rice holds together that West Ham team, which for me is a very average side. So yeah, he's done an incredible job. Then number 4, this one probably won't be on anyone's list, but I'll say Yuri Tielemans. He's only 23, and for me, he's way too overlooked. Like in that Leicester side, in midfield, he plays every game, and Leicester like they're doing bits. And Tielemans, he's overlooked because he's not a goal man. He's not really assist man either. But he's had a great season. And number 5, it'll be someone that's injured now. But for me, if he didn't get injured, he was winning the young player of the year all day long. And Harvey Barnes was going to win the young player of the year, I swear. Harvey Barnes would have won it before he got injured. This guy was on doing bits. But because Harvey Barnes is injured now, I have to give the 5th place to Saka. Saka does bits at Arsenal, like, but Tifa and Arsenal, they rely on Saka so much, but and he's so young, it's ridiculous. But yeah, that's my 5.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't really know if it's under 23, so I'm just going to go I guess kind of under 23. First to be Foden. Yeah, it's just been incredible this season for City. I like how Pep has really eased him into the squad, because I think a lot of City fans were complaining at a point that he wasn't getting enough game time, but I think that's the thing with youngsters. You just kind of have to be patient and just kind of like let the natural course take its place rather than just rush them in. So yeah, I'd give number 1 to Foden. Number 2, I'll give it to Melia in Leeds, the keeper. I think he's just been quite impressive. To be a main starter as a keeper at 21 years old in the Premier League is something really impressive. His shot stopping has looked quite good, and his distribution has also looked quality as well. So yeah, he's really headed to the top in that department. Third, I'd go for Saka. Kind of robbed off a bit towards the end of the season, but I think that's just down to general burnout, because he's really been overworked this season. As he shouldn't be, actually, because he's just 19. Shouldn't be a very key man in the squad at this stage, but he's held that responsibility this season, so kudos to him. He's been quite impressive for us this season. For 4th, I'd go with Neto. just because Wolves have, when they lost Jimenez, they really just not had anyone to rely on in terms of like doing something up front. Traore is, supposed to be a man who helps them a lot, but he's doesn't really. He in the final third has been quite questionable. I mean, he gets into the right positions. He has ways of doing that. He carries the ball well and stuff like that. But final third, he's just been really questionable in terms of finishing sometimes, in terms of creating chances for them. But Neto has been quite superb in creating chances, in scoring goals as well. I think he's the highest goal scorer, even if it's not that high, but he still is the highest goal scorer. So yeah, he's just kind of stepped up to some certain extent this season with Jimenez being injured and stuff like that. So he's really done good work on the wing. So he'll take fourth for me. Then fifth, fifth, I'd have to give it to Rice. Just generally because of how he's played this season all round. So now this season he hasn't really played as a lone DM, rather in the midfield with Suchek, and he's also progressed a lot with the ball. So sometimes he'll be a box to box, sometimes he'll just sit deep sometimes. So the way he has adapted to just being a all-round complete midfielder has just been really impressive to see this season. So yeah, he would be fifth for me.
Denzel, who's yours?
I did under 21 because you said under 21. So I'm gonna start from 5 and then go up. So like Ore, I had Pedro Neto in my 5. I just think he's a baller, man. He is so cold. I think I said it earlier, maybe a while back. I said I wanted United to sign him because I feel like he's a very good winger. He's cold. Obviously, like Ore said, with Jimenez being out, he's stepped up to the task. So I rate Pedro Neto a lot, and he's number 5 for me. Number 4 is Declan Rice. I feel like with how well West Ham have done this season, Declan Rice is crucial to them having a good season. He just offers solidity in that midfield. Like he does his job well, no nonsense, very clean, tidy. Like he's a typical CDM. Like, and I would love to have him at my club personally. I feel like he's a very good talent. Number 3 is Saka. At 19 years old, he carried one of the biggest clubs in England on his back. Obviously, not to a top 4 finish, possibly not to a Europa League finish, but nevertheless, still doing his thing. So I respect Saka. Obviously, he's done his thing this season. I can't dispute that. As much as it pains me, I'm joking. I like seeing him do well. Yeah, but Saka has been very good this season. All jokes aside. Number 2, Mason Mount. Revisionism, I can't lie, I'm a revisionist. I remember when Frank Lampard was picking him every single week, I was like, oh, this guy must be Frank Lampard's son. Why is he picking him all the time? When you watch him play, you understand that the guy works hard and the guy is a baller. I have to give my respect to him. I wasn't a Mount believer at the beginning of the season, but he's turned it around for me. Like I have to respect him. He's a very good player. In my opinion, he's better than the ones that you spent a ton of money on coming from Germany. In my opinion, he's better than Havertz. In my opinion, obviously, more influential than Werner, Havertz. It's like all these people you spend big bucks on, Mount's the one who's stood out. So you have to, it's Phil Foden. Yeah, he's a special talent. He's a very special talent. He's done well to obviously get minutes in that Man City side. Obviously, he's not starting, but he really has a solid starting place in that Man City team, to be fair. But yeah, Foden obviously is number 1. He's been very good this season. So that's my top 5.
Fair enough. If you man agree with that, tell us in the comments. Obviously, you man can even leave your own ones in the comment section, and we'll see if we can look at them, and we'll see if we can dissect them as well. But moving on, let's look at the European leagues.
But they don't do this. Dan needs to do his one.
Swear down.
I forgot.
Nah, man, Dan needs to do his one.
My bad, bro. Sorry. Yeah, you can.
No, you're good. So no more. All right, cool. So number 5, I've gone Melier, because I mean for Leeds, he's been, for such a young keeper, I think he's done well. Number 4, Declan Rice. I think West Ham, he's a big reason why West Ham have overperformed this year, and he deserves his credit. Number 3, Saka, because I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like he's been Arsenal's best player, most influential player. Despite the fact Arsenal's not done too well, I still think that doesn't take away from his performances. Number 2, Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden is just a special player. I think he's a really top player, and this season he's really shown how good he is and that he is capable of going to that real top level. And number 1, people may not like it, but for me, it has to be Mason Mount. It has to be. I think people ran agendas on Mason Mount just because he didn't fit the player they want. Like, because when we think about young players, everyone likes the young player that is really good dribbling, got all the skills, has the great finishing, scores all the goals, gets all the assists. And someone like Mason Mount, who doesn't fit that profile, they just run agendas on, essentially for no reason. Like, despite the fact that he was playing well every single week, and in many games, he's been Chelsea's best player this season, and especially under Lampard, he was easily Chelsea's best player. But it surprised me that even their own fans were running agendas on him and saying, "Oh, I don't want him to start," and this and that, which to me is crazy. Like, the fact that other players are getting more hype. Like, for example, like I see Chelsea fans hype Hudson-Odoi more than Mason Mount, which to me is crazy, because I've not seen Hudson-Odoi do anything compared to Mount this season and even before that. And I think that might be due to Mason Mount's profile. Like, I think if Mason Mount was a striker and he was doing the same performances, people would be raving about him and going crazy. But the fact that he's not what people want and expect, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. And for me, he has to be Young Player of the Year.
Fair enough. Yeah, as I said before, tell us in the comments if you agree, and even leave your own, and we'll see if we can get back to them. Yeah, the European leagues now. Big up Conte, won the Scudetto. Player of the season in Italy should be Lukaku, without a doubt. He did his thing. And you know, one thing people always used to say about Lukaku was, does he score when it matters? Hey, this guy was scoring big goals for Inter Milan. So, hey, big him up, man. Big him up. You know what I wanted to look at was the what's it called? La Liga table. Obviously, Sevilla lost yesterday. I don't know if they're gonna be in the title like that now. But who's our favourites though? Who are we saying? All right, who are you saying is the favourites for La Liga?
Probably have to go for Real, actually. I think Barcelona leads into, was it Granada? Yeah, it just kind of tipped the balance into Real Madrid's favor, because Barcelona play, I think, Atletico this weekend. So if Barcelona do manage to beat Atletico, then it's probably clear road for Real. But then Real plays Sevilla this weekend as well. So yeah, they're all tangled in that. Real play Sevilla. Yeah, so they're all just tangled in that battle. I mean, this weekend probably does decide the title. If Atletico does manage to beat Barcelona, then they should have a clear road from there on. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see, to be fair. I'd probably go for Real now, but you know, after this weekend, that could change as well. So I guess that's the beauty of the title race.
Yeah, I was just deep in. I think we spoke about who we thought were favourites for La Liga, innit?
Yeah, we did this last week.
Yeah, we did this. Obviously, you man can check that from last week. But that one's going to be interesting. And we spoke about Liga 1 as well. Obviously, shout out my boy Cherky. Hey, big him up. You man will see in the next couple of years. But it looks like Monaco are out of it, and it's looking like it's going to be between Lille and PSG, which is definitely going to be interesting, man. Before we get on to, because we're going to add a new segment to end off the show and build up, but we'll say that in a minute. But let's look at the UCL preview for the UCL and the Europa League. So the first game is PSG Man City. Obviously, we saw Man City won 2-1, and it's really advantaged Man City with the 2 away goals. I don't know if Mbappe's fit, which is going to be a big issue. But I know people have mentioned about PSG's away form, which has been very good. Obviously, they went to Barca, they beat them 4-1, went to Bayern as well. But if there's no Mbappe, there might be no party though. But you got Neymar though. That's the key. That's the most important thing. But it's gonna be a tough one, man. I don't know. Dan, what's your thoughts on that?
I think Mbappe is such a crucial part of this tie. If he's not involved, then I think PSG they might be in trouble. Like because Man City's defense has been so solid anyway. But if you take out one of the biggest weapons that PSG have, I don't know if I can see PSG scoring. Like, and especially because Man City have them 2 away goals from the first leg. It's gonna be difficult. They're gonna be in for a tough one, especially without Mbappe. But we'll see. They're always capable, especially with that away form.
Ori, what about you?
I think this is the part where you cue Pep's usual overthinking, because now how does he set up against PSG today? Does he, try and get a goal? Because even if he does get a goal, PSG, nothing changes with PSG. They still need 2 goals. So he'd obviously, to actually kill the tie, he'd probably need 2 goals. So and also they do have a lead, and they don't want PSG to also score, because then you have the away goal rule thing. So it's just going to be very confusing for him. Does he, start off the game trying to, attack? Does he try and sit back a bit? Does he, just try and keep the ball around? So, it'll be very interesting to see how he sets up today. Obviously, I don't think Pep would ever sit back in any circumstance. So I do feel they would obviously go at the game, try and get as many goals as possible to kind of kill off the tie. But in doing so, then they could leave PSG with gaps in behind and stuff like that. But yeah, it would just be interesting to see. For me, I probably always said PSG were going to go through. Actually, yeah, I think from the start I said PSG would go through, just because obviously I'm kind of rooting for PSG, I guess. But yeah, Man City do look like a very balanced side, and just the fact that they came back from that 1-0 just kind of made me, lean into them more, because that's not the usual City usually see. Because in the Champions League, they have been, quite below standard in terms of, I guess you could say, bottling certain wins or leads and stuff like that. So I guess, yeah, we'll just have to see how it pans out tonight, but it'll be really interesting to watch.
Carl?
Yeah. There's a lot of factors to consider into this game, like going forward. Like obviously Dan said, with the Mbappe situation, I don't know how they'll set out. But then, as already said, this is a key point. Pep, this is his chance to just do the job and go to the final. Tell me why Pep starts doing some dodgy inverted full, like just bare inverted players, like doing a madness, and then this where Pep slips. Not usually, but this year, I swear, I think Pep is going to get to the final this year, because there's some players on the pitch that were overlooked. Firstly, I don't hear about KDB. KDB were given the man of the match award in the game where Mahrez smoked the whole team. Like,
Mahrez wasn't that good, man. Mahrez is he wasn't that good.
Relax. Now about KDB, he's over it. Like, not even him. There's other players on the pitch that were doing a solid job. So I think I'd like to see Mahrez today. Yeah, I can see Man City even, I wouldn't say win the Champions League as of yet, but getting to the final. But same way, you can't overlook PSG. They're a very solid team. Neymar, incredible player. Yeah, but I don't want to make any like claims, because let's not disrespect PSG, but I would say Pep, he has to get to the final. And if he doesn't get to the final, it's a wild claim, but he obviously won't get sacked, but he started to have to consider when is it going to be time where he moves on to his next project, because if he's not winning the Champions League this year, what's he there for? Man City comfortably win the Premier League. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Denzel?
I think obviously I've said from the start, Man City are gonna win Champions League. I thought they were gonna win this time, definitely. I don't want to hear the Mbappe's out excuse because even if Mbappe was playing, my PSG still weren't doing anything to Man City, in my opinion, anyway. With the whole overthinking thing, that is a little bit of a concern for me. Pep has the ability to capitulate tactically, but I think if he looks at this game like a 0-0 coming into the tie, then he should be fine. If he overthinks the 2-1 lead and starts doing all his BS, then I don't know. But I think he's probably learned his lesson. He's learned from his mistakes. I think Man City should go through.
You know this Pep overthinking, yeah? I thought it was just the Leon thing. What was the other times where you overdid?
Nah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the
What did he do against
Spurs thing was
abysmal.
Was he doing against Spurs?
Basically, every time he's been knocked out, he's kind of tried to do something different than he usually does. Sometimes play three at the back, sometimes just, different to how they were initially playing. So
I don't know. What did he do against Spurs though?
Honestly, I can't exactly remember how he set up against Spurs, but what did he do again? That was, I don't know, but he did kind of set up differently.
Was it about KDB that he didn't play KDB against Spurs in the first leg that people started saying he's overthinking it?
He didn't play a defensive midfielder. He played De Bruyne, Gundogan, and David Silva in the midfield.
Well, against Spurs.
Oh.
But he's played Gundogan as a DM before that. So
no, but I think they were playing Fernandinho before.
Yeah.
And I think he dropped him and put Gundogan there.
Honestly, I can't remember too much.
I do think Pep overthinks, but I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like some people. I don't know if I agree with the Champions League one because I don't know, man. I agree with the Leon thing. He definitely did with the three at the back. It was unnecessary, but I'm not really sure it's that common that he does that.
I think Pep sometimes what he has to do, obviously I'm in no place to tell Pep what to do exactly. That's not what I said. But same way, Pep, he needs to know as a manager when to keep it simple, man. Just to keep it simple and just do the job. Like Jose Mourinho, he's done this for years. Someone like Conte.
Hey, come on, man. How you using Jose and Pep as examples when that makes it come on, man? Nah.
Conte is someone you have to learn from. Like he just has his tactics. He implements
Conte, what's Conte done in Europe, bruv? Man got knocked out by Shakhtar Donetsk. Come on, man. Get off that.
Respect Conte.
I respect Conte, but you got to respect
But he's consistently bad in Europe. Conte's never been good in Europe.
Yeah, but that's your fancy fair. But I mean, like in the league,
Pep has been quite bad in Europe for some time. I think we need to start having the discussion, especially if he doesn't win the Champions League this season, because he was getting humiliated in Bayern by Real Madrid, by Barcelona. Now in City, he's gotten eliminated by Monaco, Lyon, and he's probably had the easiest, opportunities to win it in the past few years.
I got to push back. You know, with the Bayern thing, with the Man City one, that's his fault. I don't even care. He hasn't got an excuse. He should beat Lyon. He should beat Spurs. Liverpool are kind of on. I think Liverpool are on peds because the way them man were running, it wasn't normal.
Come on, man.
No, but with the Man City one, that's his thing, innit? He can
the Liverpool
one, Bayern, What you saying?
The Liverpool one, they broke down like as a whole. Like that was just embarrassing, and it gives you the same vibes he had in Bayern when he went up against big people, like big teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona as well. So
see with the Bayern thing, yeah. I remember Real Madrid, they got pumps. I remember Ronaldo and Ramos did their thing. Against Bayern, yeah, I remember he did the three at the back, I think. And he was doing well to the last 10 minutes till a certain Lionel Messi took over. I remember his goal against Bayern where he not made what can a manager do, bruv? What can a manager do? Like you're playing against the best front three ever. Like, come on, man. We got to give him some leeway there, in my opinion. Against Atletico, they should have beat Atletico, bruv. They should have. I'm not gonna give him that one. They should have beat Atletico. But against the Real Madrid were a bit crazy that season and they won it. And then what's it called? The Barcelona one, you're against the best front three ever. See, so with the Bayern Munich thing, I'm a bit more. I do feel for you a bit. With the Man City one,
I feel like he definitely should have done more with that Bayern team. Even at least one.
Against Atletico, I think he should have. He should have at least got to a final. Definitely, man.
Yep. So, you know what? If he doesn't win this season, then then I mean, even already, you know, people have debates already. I mean, you know, I'm a huge Pep fan, but just in this category, you know, he has to really step up in terms of he really has to win the Champions League this season, just for his legacy and just for his all round, you know.
It's mad our expectation on Pep, bruv, because you look at a certain Sir Alex Ferguson, man. He didn't win it all the time like that.
Now wait. Okay. Louder. Let me say what I was gonna say before you said that blasphemous claim, whatever it was. Okay. So you said we hold Pep to a high standard. This guy is in GOAT talk. He's in GOAT talk.
Exactly.
And he hasn't won the Champions League in how many years?
Exactly. He's spitting.
We have to hold him accountable. I don't care. We have to hold him accountable.
I'm not even disagreeing with what you're saying.
This guy's been at Barcelona. Fair enough, you did your thing at Barcelona. Then you went Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is one of the biggest clubs in the world. All you did was win Bundesliga titles, which is pretty much standard, expected. You didn't win anything Champions League wise. You've come to Man City. How long has he been at City for?
Like 5 seasons.
How many years?
Like
exactly. In those seasons, fair enough, you've done your thing in the Prem. There's been a couple of years where you haven't done your thing in the Prem, but I digress. And you haven't. The thing that you've come there to do is bring them their first ever Champions League. You haven't done, and you're in GOAT talk. There's GOAT talk discussions. You've been backed financially at every single team you've gone to. You've had a good squad at every single team you've gone to, and you haven't won the Champions League in. Has it been over 10 years now, or 10?
Well, a manager who won like a manager who won 2 in about 20-something years is in GOAT talks as well. So
okay, but
no, don't compare. Don't compare. Don't compare.
No.
Wait.
And I was
not make come on, man.
Let
me land.
This guy Pep had the best team of all time when he did that.
Yeah, he did.
So
I mean, he was there when he helped create that.
He had the best team of all time.
Let's not pretend like he wasn't there when he helped create that.
Nah. Ferguson. If you look at the starting lineup of Ferguson's teams that have won Champions League, okay, you've had the 99 treble winning season. Very good.
Look at the team that got to the final and played Pep. It stinks. The team lineup stinks.
Come on.
You know, don't
2009 and who won?
It didn't. No,
don't create that myth.
Don't
create that myth. You know, the biggest myth that everybody always tries to force so much is that
I'm not saying that team stunk. I'm not saying that
compared to Barca it did. Compared to Barca it stunk.
But compared to Pep's Barca team, it wasn't Pep's Barca team.
But they bucked each other in 2009 and Pep pound you guys. Simple. When you had a great side in 2009, he pound you. So
louder.
Come on, man. Come on.
Man said pound it. Nah. That's a stretch.
All right, we're gonna say it.
You have to
I was going to say that.
The year.
In terms of when people say, oh, you know, the better team, but haven't you actually seen a team not as good on paper beat teams comfortably? So it doesn't really matter. It all depends on how you set up your team, more or less, because, you know,
player quality matters. Player quality, man. It matters.
I know. I'm not disregarding that, but Pep obviously made Barcelona way better than they were before. I mean, they won the treble as well. So I guess, you know, at the end of the day, you'd still have to give him credit for that, because I feel like everybody's always disregarded him because of how good the quality of the players were. But at the end of the day, he's the one who put them together, and he's the one who, you know, made it stick, glue them together. So,
but you have to admit though, we hold Pep to a higher standard, because Pep Guardiola, number one, he's gone to pretty much, if it's not the best team in the country, it's definitely the second best. And if it's not the most wealthy, it's the second most wealthy in every one of his jobs. Number two, he's spent more than anyone else in the league wherever he's gone. So obviously the standard that he's going to be held at is significantly higher than someone like Ferguson. Like when Ferguson came to Man United, they were 21st. They were second bottom. And in 5 years, they won the league. Like Ferguson, you can't even compare him to Pep, because Ferguson established dominance with a Man United team that he picked up was second bottom.
I think you got it confused. We're not saying that Pep's better yet.
Can I quickly say? Ori made a point. He said something about like, in 20 years, Sir Alex Ferguson only won 2 UCL titles. How long has Pep been a manager for? Since 2008.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he that's when he joined Barcelona. So he's only won 2 Champions League titles as well. So let's not use that whole 20-year and he
Hey,
came
if he
to
wins,
he
if he
had a
wins this year,
decent.
then you're
Yeah,
dusted,
but how
bro.
many
Okay,
managers have won
then
more
I'm
than two
then I'm
though?
messing.
How many not that many?
Exactly. Mourinho's wait, how many has Mourinho won?
you know what?
How many has Mourinho won?
Mourinho has
Mourinho's won
two.
two.
He's won.
I
He
think
has two
off
as
the top
well.
of
He
my
has two
head,
as
only
well.
Heinkes, Ancelotti, and Zidane
Zidane, yeah.
have won
And Bob
three.
Paisley.
Exactly. So
And
so
who?
don't be
Bob
don't be
Paisley, I
trying to
think.
use that.
So four
Yeah,
managers
yeah.
in history, and we're trying to shit on Ferguson
Don't rub
for
out
winning two.
Ferguson. Don't do that. I don't like.
You know
Ferguson's
what?
a
I'm not
got in
having
it.
that.
He's
Come
a
on,
got
man.
in
know
it,
what?
so he should have won more.
You know what? I'm coming to Dan's
Well, okay.
point.
So Paisley's a better manager than Sir Alex Ferguson and Pep Guardiola because there's one more Champions League. Yeah, is that what we're doing?
I'm playing.
Is that what we're doing now?
I'm
Come
playing.
on, let's not be.
I want to pick on Dan's point where he said Ferguson went to United when they were down and so this savior mentality needs to go, because what you're basically saying is that Pep cannot be regarded highly unless he goes to a team who is not doing considerably well and he does take them to a certain level. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't owe the world any responsibility. If he wants to go to the best teams in the country, he can go to the best teams. What you're basically trying to do is say that he can only prove himself by going to a team that is not doing considerably good and taking them back to the top. But
But already, the thing is,
Hey, you know, sorry, it's showing more ability to take someone who's shit.
I think we have to digress, bro, because we'll
can I say
have
quickly?
this conversation
The thing
another
is,
time.
you're putting him in GOAT talk and you're comparing him to these managers. These managers have that over him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They've taken trash teams and won stuff with them. Like Mourinho took
Ferguson
that Porto
showed-
team.
and
Fair
he
enough.
has
Hey, you man. We're gonna run over time, innit?
I say
We'll have
one
this
thing.
conversation like in the
I say one
summertime,
thing.
innit? About the
What I'm
GOAT
saying,
talk.
what
Huh?
I'm saying, we're keen to say Brian Clough is a better manager than Alex Ferguson. Let me just leave that there.
We'll move. Alright, cool.
Course.
Hey, so the next Champions League game, Chelsea versus Real Madrid. I saw something. Ramos is going to start today. Not today. It's not even today. What am I talking about? But Ramos is going to play. So that's going to be a big thing because I don't know if Varane's going to play because he got injured when they played Osasuna, innit? With the thing with Real Madrid, they're just offensively, apart from Benzema, they don't have much, bro. That's the only issue, bro. Like they can control the midfield with your midfield two, especially of Modric and Kroos. But going forward, I mean, let's see if Hazard is on form, innit? If Hazard's on form, but come on, man, this guy, I don't know. But I think Chelsea, in my opinion, are the favourites because even though Chelsea themselves aren't offensively brilliant, I do think they are better going forward than Madrid. But when you have someone like Kareem who's just banging them in left, right, and centre overall play, you gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful, and you can't bet against footballing heritage. You can't bet against footballing heritage. But Carl, what's your thoughts on the game as a Chelsea fan? How are you feeling for that?
Not gonna lie, I'm one of the ones that I'm not gonna be biased against Chelsea. I think Real Madrid are complete different level to Chelsea. If I'm being given 100, I don't believe Chelsea are on that same like top category as Real Madrid. But saying that, Tuchel, since he came in, he's done his job. But it comes down to the day, I guess. Like it becomes more down to perform. But if I'm being Real Madrid, they've got these players like you say, Kareem Benzema. These guys, they're not failing. They're not going to be failing. So yeah, we have to see it on us. I do believe Real Madrid will get through if I'm keeping 100. But obviously, I'll back Chelsea all the way.
Denzel?
I think key point that I'm gonna look at is Timo Werner. You can't keep missing opportunities if you're gonna get to a Champions League final. Like the amount of Chelsea, the first leg was definitely taken. Chelsea should have won the first leg. You can't do that again in the second leg because Madrid will punish you. They're a very, very experienced side with experienced players. So I'm looking at players like Werner. If you drop a stinker, there's no way your teammates are saving you. Like you have to perform. You have to put in a big game performance. If players like that, they're gonna let you down if they don't. So it's a tricky one, but I'm gonna put my faith in Chelsea and say I feel like Chelsea will go through. But everyone has to be on point.
Dan?
I think Chelsea getting that away goal was crucial, and I think just because they've been so defensively strong, I think they definitely have the advantage going into this game. And unfortunately for me, I see Chelsea going through.
What are you saying the score is going to be? 0-0 or?
No, I think Chelsea win 1-0 because I think Real Madrid know that Chelsea have the away goal and they commit more men forward. And similar to the Atletico game, I think Chelsea catch them on a break, either whether it's Timo Werner or Hakim Ziyech, one of the two. I can see them scoring. Maybe even Havertz. I can see one of them scoring.
And then Ore.
Actually, I think the game is kind of fairly set up to be a 0-0 kind of game, if I'm being real. And I think that would mean obviously Chelsea would go through to the final. But honestly, yeah, with the Champions League, you can never really tell. There would obviously be a lot of pressure on both teams. So how they act under pressure would also be key as well. Zidane is the real deal. So, you know, I've given him a bit of sticks occasionally, but I have to respect him where credit's due. So it would really be a nice game tactically to see how both Tuchel and Zidane both set up. I think Zidane, I think there are talks about him going for three at the back again. Not too sure about how that would come out, but they obviously need more people in attack. So yeah, I think we'll just have to see. In terms of who I think would go through, this is a tough one, but I don't know. It does look like Chelsea, I'll be real. Just in terms of how well they have been defensively and their shape as well. So yeah, I'd probably say Chelsea. Obviously, I wouldn't, and neither would surprise me, to be fair, if Madrid go to the final or if Chelsea go to the final. I think I'm expecting both outcomes, to be fair.
Final topic, and this is a new segment we're adding. Obviously, in preparation for the Euros, we're going to look at one side and we're going to look at their team. I'm going to detail the chances they have in progressing, how well they're likely to do in the Euros. So the first team that we're doing this week is Italy. Let me just pull up their squad, or their latest squad. It's pretty decent, I can't lie, man. Because, hey, these men have Donnarumma in goal. The guy's 22, and I think he has already like 200 appearances for AC Milan. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. Defensively,
he's going to be a free agent this summer.
Apparently, it's to Juve, innit?
Yeah, that's what seems likely.
So looking at this squad, do we know their groups? Who they got in their group? If someone could pull that up.
Let me quickly check that.
I think they have Switzerland and Sweden, but I may be wrong.
See, that midfield is insane. Defensively, I mean, I like Bastoni.
Yeah, they have
Turkey,
Switzerland,
Turkey,
as well.
Turkey, Switzerland, and Wales.
They should get through.
Turkey's a good side. We have to watch out for them, but yeah, let me just go through the room and see what our thoughts are. Me, I think they're a very strong side, and I think they're going to be a dark horse. I'm just looking at them defensively. Like, in my opinion, Bonucci, he's not of the level anymore. Every time I watch him for Juventus, he doesn't impress me. Chiellini, I mean, the guy is 36 and he's been injury prone for the last couple of years, man. So my thing, but Italians are solid defensively, man. Obviously, they got Bastoni. I know Mancini's been good for the Roma this season, and I do imagine Bonucci will probably play. But I think you can see them in the semis. I can see them getting to the semis, if I'm to be real. But Denzel, what's your thoughts on Italy for the Euros?
They have to change their centre back partnership, like, because of Chiellini or Bonucci in the centre backs. They're getting run ragged. Like, they're getting. That's centre back. Okay. But still, with those two in the defense, I just. Well, this is going to be a young tournament. I feel like there are a lot of young players emerging in this tournament, and the Italy side is defensively anyway. If they go with that those two in defense, I feel like they're going to get ripped. They're going to get absolutely ripped. So they're going to have to, in my opinion, they're going to have to do some defensive adjustments. Semi-final, it's a semis. If if the draw goes in their favor, then yeah, I could see them getting to semi-finals. But there are definitely 4 teams that are better than them in this competition, in my opinion. So it all depends on favor and how it lands for them.
Carl?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think as much as Chiellini and Bonucci have done their thing over the years, it's time for a bit of rotation, I'd say. I would obviously like to see Bastoni from in Inter. He's done his thing the whole season. They also got a few other options like Romagnoli from AC Milan. So they got a couple options for centre backs. But it's a solid team. Obviously like Jorginho, Ratti, like midfield. They got a few they got a few decent players. Like I wouldn't write them off at all. But you do have to compare the situations. Like their team is not as strong as, say, a France team would be in terms of rotation. But however, when you look over like history, Italy very consistent with tournament level. So yeah, I do back them to go the way I couldn't. It's too early to say, I think. But yeah, they'll go quite far in the tournament.
You know what? I was just checking. I think they might even play with a back four, you know. So yeah, that might be an issue. But Dan, what's your thoughts?
I agree. I think they could be a dark horse. I think Italy, defensively, I think we know they're solid. Bastoni obviously is impressive. As Carl mentioned, Romagnoli is also a good option. Their midfield, I think their midfield is one of the strongest in the tournament. Like I know you mentioned Jorginho, but I don't think he gets anywhere close to this midfield. I think ballers like Locatelli, I think Barella, Lorenzo Pellegrini, Verratti, I think they're all very, very high level players. And even going forward, I think players like Chiesa has been very good this season. I think Immobile, he's always going to get you goals. And with Donnarumma in goal as well. I think Italy have a very, very solid team. And I mean, their group is not, I wouldn't say their group's favourable, but it's not the hardest. Like, I think Wales obviously are beatable. They have a couple of good players, but Wales are definitely beatable. I think Switzerland, even though Switzerland are consistently a solid team, they're never a very overachieving good team. So I think Turkey is the only team that I would be worried about if I was Italy. But I definitely see Italy going far in the tournament. And if they don't, I think they've underachieved.
All right.
Yeah, they seem to have a really good side. What's really good for them this season is that there are a lot of players like coming through in Syria who have been quite impressive. So that's quite good because there was a patch where Italy weren't producing any good players in Italy, in Syria. So yeah, but now it all looks quite different. They obviously have players coming through. In terms of the midfield, I actually don't agree with what Dan said. I actually do kind of think Jorginho probably does get into the midfield. For some reason, I don't know. I just feel like he is very crucial to that Italian side in terms of when I've seen them play and stuff like that. Although with Verratti being in the side, it kind of is conflicting because both of them are similar to some extent in how they both beat the press and stuff like that. So if they have Verratti who already does that, you'd ask why they need Jorginho, but I guess Jorginho has a more defensive aspect to his game than Verratti. But
I'll say Verratti's better than him defensively. Jorginho.
Verratti's clear of Jorginho as a player. Clear of him as a player.
yeah, Claire was a player, but I'm not too sure defensively.
Defensively, no, he's not better defensively.
Verratti can be.
Is Jorginho that solid defensively? He's just okay. He's not fantastic defensively.
You know, he's fantastic, but I do think he is better than Verratti defensively.
His tackling stats are better than Kante's. You know that?
Yeah, but tackling stats are deceptive though.
Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, but
yeah, obviously they have Immobile up front. Gets the goals and stuff like that. Insigne could obviously get into that side. Case as well. Yeah, they have a lot of attacking. What?
I said they actually have wingers for once because it's
yeah, they do have wingers for once. So it'll probably force them to try and maybe use a 4-3-3 rather than 3 at the back. So yeah, their side looks really interesting. Their midfield too, they have a lot of quality players as well. I mean, Barella as well, Locatelli, these are players who have all been impressed, or at least quarterfinals. I think anything anything less than will be quite disappointing. But yeah, they should be getting to quarterfinals, probably semis. Maybe they could go the way, but yeah, you just have to see.
Yeah, no, I hear that, man. Yeah, that's it for this week. We've been discussing for a long time, man, especially about the racism and the blackout thing. So, hey, we gave you that content for real, man. We gave you that content for real. But make sure you do the usuals. You man know what to do. Standard, like, comment, and subscribe. Big up Carl for coming on, man. We appreciate you for coming on, man. We appreciate your voice
Thanks for
and
having me, man.
your
Anytime.
business acumen as well came through as well. So we appreciate that for real, man. But yeah, you man say alert. Obviously, hit the notification button as well, the bell one as well. So you man are always alert on when we're uploading stuff. But yeah, man, that's it, and we'll catch you again next week. Peace.